Hi there guys, and welcome once again to Jonesy's vlog. Well, after last week's video, after the Rochdale game, I very much thought to myself I wouldn't have to make another video like that for a while. You know, I wouldn't have to make a video with so much anger and disappointment and all around sort of depressing facts in it. And then yesterday's game came along, and that happened. That was a thing, losing 6-0 away to Sheffield Wednesday, who, you know, without a manager, yes, they've had a caretaker manager who has put them a bit more on track recently, but, you know, a team that have been struggling at the bottom haven't been too great, and yeah, we went there and lost 6-0 apparently. Yeah, so I just want to point out at this stage that well, I was going to say unfortunately, but I think fortunately I was working yesterday, and obviously I didn't get to see the game live, but I did go home and sort of fast forwarded through the game that my dad had recorded it, so saw bits there and watched the full highlights last night on the Football League show again, and been listening to, you know, seeing what people have been saying about it, looking on Twitter, catching up with the radio coverage and the interviews on Radio Leeds. So I feel I'm kind of, you know, up to date with it all, so I can, you know, do a pretty decent vlog on it and knowing all the details. But I just think after yesterday and seeing how inept that performance was, and not just the team but McDermott as well, we've really got to question where we go from here, and it's really quite worrying. And I'm not gonna. This is going to be I'm not really going into too much detail. You know, any Sheffield Wednesday fans that have come on to see this, it is basically just going to be Leeds United stuff. But obviously, you know, fair play to you. You took your chances. It's probably going to be one of the easiest games of the season for you. But you know, you did what you had to do, and you know, you were very clinical in your finishing, and you pulled out a professional performance. So fair play to you. And obviously a very enjoyable good day for you. But from Leeds United's point of view, right, so last week after Rochdale I made the point of, you know, Leeds United, well, I say football fans in general, but you know, as Leeds United fans, all we ask for from our team is, you know, to put 100% in and to put a performance in. You know, if we lose a game to the better team where we have tried our hardest, then you hold your hands up and say, fair play, you know, there we go, we move on to next week, that's fair enough. But when you see the likes of the performance last week against Rochdale, and performances in the last, you know, over Christmas, and then that, well, I can't even call it a performance, and that showing yesterday, that's when you start getting the reactions that we got last week after the final whistle at Rochdale. And you know, I don't know what it was like yesterday at the final whistle. I don't know whether it was similar scenes to the Rochdale game. But this is when it just starts to get absolutely ridiculous. You know, the minimum we ask is just 100% from the team, and to show some passion and desire in a game. But to just lay down and pretty much die there on the pitch, and you know, that defending yesterday was just painful to watch. I mean, that first goal for 3 Sheffield Wednesday players to be pretty much unmarked at the back post like that was absolutely diabolical. I couldn't quite believe what I was watching. I mean, I was at work and I kept, you know, checking Twitter and seeing what people were saying, and I thought surely it can't be that bad. But literally I got home and I was watching it, and it was just, it was hard to watch. And you know, it's one of those things again when, you know, the fans have paid, you know, a lot of money. Yes, you know, the majority of the fans won't have had that far to travel to Sheffield. But, you know, you look at the fans that may have travelled over from Ireland or from the south of England or up from Scotland or from abroad that have travelled in and paid so much money. And to have that from your team, it's just, well, from the club as well. Like I say, you know, the management team can't hide away from this. You know, it was very, very poor tactics and poor formations from McDermott from the off. I don't really know what he was thinking of, really. And, you know, it really isn't good enough at all. I mean, we said after last week's game, you know, it would be nice to maybe see the players' wages or something be donated to charities. Well, you know, to have that 2 weeks in a row now is it really isn't on. And the thing that is so bemusing to me is that after a game like the Rochdale one, you would expect to see some kind of reaction. And you know, the team wanting to put it right after being so embarrassed last week. You know, you could tell how embarrassed they were at the final whistle at Rochdale. So you thought that, you know, they would try so hard through the week and we would see a reaction. You know, that's what normally happens after games like that. But for that to happen two weekends in a row, it's quite unbelievable. And you know, I can't believe that I'm here making this vlog again. You know, I seem to be just going back to what I was saying last week. And like I say, it's really worrying to see where we go from here. I mean, off the field last week, it seems to be getting positive again. You know, we made the signings of Stewart and Kebe, and you know, that, which I still find a bit weird, the deal with the San Francisco 49ers. But again, you know, it was, you know, possibly something positive. And McDermott seemed happy with how things were going on the training field, and I think people were just, you know, thinking, you know, maybe that Rochdale game was the kick up the backside we needed. So like I say, to then go and see that horror show yesterday is quite bewildering, really. And as I say, look, I'm not saying, you know, there's a lot of people that are saying to sack McDermott now, which is quite ridiculous, to be honest. I don't really understand that. It would just cause so much more problems, and wouldn't solve anything for me, because you get a new manager in and he's got to deal with what's already at the club, and then just sort of get through to the end of this season without being relegated, and then it's another rebuilding season for next season, which is what this one was for McDermott. And it's just you know, a circle that just keeps going round. So it's not right to sack McDermott, but we definitely have to start asking questions. And you know, obviously the players are always, for me, the first and foremost to sort of get the blame. But yesterday, I mean, that to have McCormack up front on his own like that, and to finally bring in, you know, the likes of Stewart and Kebe, you know, two wingers that McDermott's been saying we need all that time. So not to play 4-4-2 and have your wingers there and getting the crosses in for, you know, the likes of Matt Smith and that to get on the end of, I don't quite understand it. I really don't get it. And why he didn't change it sooner as well, when you could see it clearly wasn't working out. Like I say, look, we don't need to sack McDermott. We don't need to make things worse than what they already are. But maybe just start to ask the questions of, you know, what is going on behind the scenes, because it's a strange one for me how quickly things have turned at the club. I mean, we know that we had a squad that wasn't good enough, but we weren't going on such a bad run not long ago, just before Christmas, and how things have turned so quickly. You know, especially from for me, New Year's Day against Blackburn, that's when it was a real surprise of how bad things were. And it's just gone on since then, and like I say, it is worrying. So we're going to have to see what happens this week. And as McDermott said, as Radio Leeds' reporter Adam Pope said, you know, the individual errors yesterday was so poor. I mean, Zaliukas was absolutely awful. I mean, he looked like he'd been out drinking the night before or something. I mean, and he's been a player who, for me, has been one of our best signings this season, and he's been the only player that could hold his head up high after the past few performances. But I mean, was it the last two goals, but where he just let the ball roll over his foot, and when he sort of dived in for that challenge and the player got away from him, I mean, it just looked like he hadn't been playing in the team for a few weeks. And like I said, you know, the defending, especially for that first goal, was so poor. Paddy Kenny, when he got beaten at his near post, that was, you know, that was unforgivable. And again, I've been praising Paddy Kenny recently. And I mean, you know, you can't have a go at Ross McCormack. I mean, he was getting absolutely, he might as well not have been on the pitch, because there was nothing happening up front. I'm going to mention Austin again. He needs to be dropped. He really does need to be dropped. I mean, on a few videos ago, when I sort of singled him out there was someone who left a comment. Who, you know, everyone's entitled to the opinion. Of course they are. That's what all this is about. Saying he felt I was being a bit harsh on Austin, and he felt that he'd been one of our, or in Norway or something, he'd been ranked as one of our best players recently. But the fact of the matter is, for the past 6 or 7 games, he has not been the leader that he should be as captain. His passing has just been absolutely diabolical. And he's just not been holding that midfield, and you know, he's the centre of that midfield, and that's where things need to start being created from us, and it's just not happening. And he's just been such a poor weak link for us recently, and I don't care that he's captain. He needs to be out of that squad at the moment, because it's just getting worse and worse for him, and it doesn't look like it's going to get better. And I know it's a shame, because on his day, like I keep saying, he is a great player. You know, the surging runs that he does, the tackles, you know, he gets stuck in, and he can pass a ball, but recently, you know, he really has shown his real poor side, and we can't have that from our captain. We really can't have it. It's not good enough. You know, you look at Mowat, he's been very poor recently. Obviously, this is all having a negative effect on him. You know, he's a young lad. This is his first season in the first team, so seeing all this negativity around him is obviously rubbing off onto him. So, and obviously it doesn't look look good for the new lads that have come in as well. You know, they'll be thinking, what the hell have we come into here? And I mean, they didn't look anything great yesterday, but then again, it's a poor first game to really judge them on. So, yeah, I mean, McDermott said we need to take it back to basics after all the individual errors yesterday, and I mean, I suppose that is the way to start, really. And even looking at the red card for Smith, obviously that happened at a really poor time, and you know, I'm sure if that hadn't been a red card, then it wouldn't have ended up being 6-0. But let's face it, we still would have lost the game. It didn't change the game that much. And I mean, when I got home and my dad and I'd seen people talk about it, I thought it was one of those that, you know, was just clearly wasn't a red card from the off. And although I feel it was a harsh red card, you know, when you see some of the tackles that happen that aren't given as red cards, you know, it was a very light sort of challenge, so you know, a booking for me at best. But again, you've got to question his decision making now. I mean, why he did what he did, why he had to even slightly raise his arm. I mean, he didn't even jump for the ball, so why he was raising his arm at that point, I don't really understand why he did that. And you know, as soon as you start doing that, the referee or the linesman is going to look at that, and you know, there's always going to be the possibility of the red card. So, you know, poor decision making from Matt Smith there. Like I say, I don't believe it should have been a red card, but I can't really blame the ref for giving it either. So, you know, it just really depressing all round. I mean, I was asked by someone on Twitter to try and put a positive spin on things, but I'm afraid it was a challenge too far for me. We have to see what happens next week. Well, this week, I mean, going into Leicester game. I mean, like I say, I was watching the Football League show and watching them against Derby. You know, a Derby side that have been, you know, running right over so many teams recently and been on that fantastic run that they were. And I mean, they got demolished by Leicester. I mean, you look at the difference. Yesterday, our first shot on target was after, I think, 70 minutes, and that was a long-range effort. And you look at lack of creativity on our side, and then you look around the division, and you look at how the teams are playing and how they create so many chances, and they've got clinical finishers. You know, Burnley have got your Danny Ings, you've got Leicester with your David Nugents and Jamie Vardy's up front. And then you look at our team and you just see how much we are lacking, and it's not looking good, is it? Let's be honest. And it's really disappointing to be saying this, because I mean, not so many videos ago I was saying how we were sort of ending the year quite positively, but it's definitely caught up on us, and like I say, it's difficult to see where we're going from here. So there's again rumours once again of Becchio possibly coming on loan. It's one of those who, well, if it happens, I'm not going to be disappointed with it, because we know that he can do it at this level. But if it doesn't happen, then I'm not too fussed either, because we do need to move on. You know, we can't keep looking to the past. You know, everyone's been so, you know, fixated on getting Gradle back and Becchio and looking at old players, but we need to be looking at fresh new new players, and like I say, if it happens, I'll be glad of it, and I believe that Becchio and Ross up front will work well together. And you know, it like when he was at the club, you know, last season, it showed that they could work together well, and you know, maybe that would be what we want. And we definitely need some striker in, because I mean, if this appeal for Matt Smith's red card doesn't go through, you know, we're going to be missing him for 3 games. So we need someone up there with Ross. I mean, he can't be up front on his own again, because we saw that just clearly doesn't work. So we'll see what happens this week. I'm sure there'll be some sort of transfer activity. Well, I at least hope there is. It does worry me a bit that they all seem to be loans at the moment. I mean, I know the Cameron Stewart one, there wasn't really too much we could do there. But today we're meant to have sort of money coming in. It would be nice to just, you know, nail down a solid transfer and someone who, you know, is actually ours. So yeah, that's all I've got to say, guys. You know, I really do hope that this is the last video like this that I have to make. So so let me know what you think, guys. I'm sure not many of you will be disagreeing with what I'm saying, but you know, those of you that maybe think that it is time for McDermott to go, you know, get your point across, and you know, get a debate going there possibly, and see what you think we need to do to really move forward and stop this horrible rut that we're in. So yeah, let me know in the comments below, or on my Twitter at ChrisJonesLUFC, and hopefully I will be seeing you after the Leicester game in much happier form. So yeah, thank you as always for watching, guys, and I will see you all very soon.